Reading from Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. One second. One 40. One 46. Book 2, Chapter 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Paramānanda-pūrṇo praṇaman daṇḍa-van muhuḥ. Vyacintayam idaṁ svasyā. Paśyam adya didṛkṣitam. Filled with supreme bliss, I repeatedly fell to the ground. Today I've thought, I've always seen what I wanted to see. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam. Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So greetings from Cali, Colombia. I always joke that I'm going to start a music business from here, which will also sell talcum powder, and we'll call it Kali Kartal. Come on, these are good jokes. I debated whether I would have the class or not because I'm leaving for the airport soon. So it may be an abbreviated class. And then at 7:30, there was no electricity. So I had to find someone with a phone. So we may get 20, 25 minutes, but it shows how dedicated I am to this principle of steadiness. Because we become conditioned by regulation. So somehow this may be the longest standing, I don't know, class or something. I think this is 12 years or something. So let's see where we're at. The second part, the place, and both what is it? Anyway, this Brahmin gets this mantra. There's an influence of the mantra, but he doesn't have full knowledge. So it's working, but not to the full extent. Therefore, Prabhupada always said, you go to the spiritual chanting and hearing. I remember when the devotees came to my university, and I don't know what it was so far out. I mean, because everybody, these robes and different. Now it looks like oh, guys got robes, even in the movement, right? Oh, those guys chanting on the street almost. But it's all these dynamic people, and they came into the student union, and they brought this big picture that I think that's one little picture of, I don't know, Krishna sitting down in the forest or something, and Bhavananda was the leader there. I remember Harikesh was Bob Campagnola with his tinted sunglasses. And I remember these devotees, Varanasi and Bhakti, singing these like Hare Krishna spirituals. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama. And then Bhavananda just sitting down in the student union with confidence and explaining how by chanting Hare Krishna, the Bhakti Lata Bij, with his finger, he was like making a vine, piercing the universe at the lotus feet of Krishna. And yeah, it was very powerful. And then when they went to some room and the students followed, it was really powerful. But what I remember is that Bhakti Lata Bij that grows and pierces the universe and reposes the beautiful flowers of bhakti at the lotus feet of Krishna. Prabhupada said it goes by chanting and reading. So they go together because chanting with sambandha gyan, with the proper understanding, if you chant with an impersonal conception, what do you get? You chant, so chanting with the right understanding. But at least he wasn't offensive. His was nam-bas. He was chanting just innocently his mantra. Brought him to Gop Kumar, who says, I'm going to tell you my own story. We usually don't do it, but it will be like a Puranic epic. And he tells this story that parallels this Brahmin. He even tells the Brahmin that he tells the Brahmin his own story. He tells not his own story, but the Brahmin's story. He tells the Brahmin the story, and this will be helpful for you. But it's more helpful because while you're still seeing where your story ends, my story ends, and I know what the fruit of this chanting is. And then tells him that another thing, that your japa wasn't enough. You needed to do Nam Sankirtan. You do that. So he tells his own story. Vaishya, cowherd boy, wandering the forest, carefree, meets a Brahmin, which turns out to be his guru, who's on the level of Mahabhav. And they develop some relationship. Gop Kumar brings him some milk, and now he says, go bathe in the Jamuna, I will give you mercy, and I will give you God. And he gives him the mantra. Then out of ecstasy, the guru disappears. So very parallel, because the initial Brahmin who got the mantra, somehow no one revealed it to him. And he also revealed the meaning. He got the mantra without the meaning. He also gets the mantra without the meaning. And he's dedicated to it. But when he gets the mantra without the meaning, and he said, I'm giving you God, then he says, okay, let me go find God. And naturally he goes to the bank of the Ganga, and he sees someone worshiping a Shalagram Shila. And he was a very poor Brahmin. So he's very happy. This is God. He has this simple faith is very powerful. David, I'm not a man of simple faith. It's got a lot to, scrutinize. Now I'm a man of simple faith. Now I'm really a man of simple faith. I don't care contradictions, can't figure it out. Okay, I'm humble. I don't understand everything. I fully accept Guru and Krishna and the Shastra. I don't have to figure it out anymore. Get old, you get tired. He's very happy until the Brahmin puts him in the box. He says, God in a box, and what's going on here? And he's not fed properly. And then the Vaishnavas are always humble. I give many, many reasons. I'm collecting reasons why, even if you're advanced, you're humble. But once purity reveals faults, impurity doesn't reveal faults. I'll give you an example. In my room, if you threw something on the floor, no one would know it because I'm careless anyway. But I went to Shivaram Swami in Budapest, and I snuck into his room when he was to see what his room was like. The drawers were glass, so you can see in the drawers. I was terrified if I smudged something, it would be like seen. So it's like that. When you're free and pure, you can see her. So very interesting. And the Brahmin felt bad about it, but he didn't have. And he said, well, let's look Gopakishore, come to my house for prasadam. But he already told him that if you see devotion in opulence, and there is a sense of that when you have devotion, you offer the best. So you really want to see the best. I don't have the best. But you offer the best, but the best may be very, very simple, and that may communicate your love as much as someone who offers more, but not everything he has. So it's very, 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 interesting how this thing works. So he says, you go see this king, because he offers the best. Now remember, this is an analysis of places, because he's trying to find his place. And I think one aspect of piety is knowing your place. I listed it 4. Knowing your partner, knowing your place, knowing your guru, and knowing your occupation. I wrote an article, The 4 Pillars of Stable Life. Actually, when I'm here, it's amazing. My time was shorter, but people were coming to see me, and I'm sometimes amazed the level of piety. It's almost mind-blowing. Intact families where the father's a father and the mother's a mother, and, but at the same sense, they're dynamic because mother may have occupation, father may, it's just, and then, it's just beautiful people, pious people. And God and family in their heart, swabhavik, naturally. Like in Braj, it's swabhavik. Krishna's in their heart. That's why God is in their heart. And I have 2 people who say, I'm a Catholic with a Hare Krishna guru. And one was so interesting. This girl wanted to go to India after college, before she got married. And she sent a message out on the board, and someone I knew in Colombia gave her my name. And she shows up, very, I don't know what you call it, very, well-to-do girl. And it's so far into it, she shows up. She shows up in Vrindavan, stayed for a month. I don't know if Jai Shri Radhe's on the call, but when Jai Shri Radhe was my assistant there, Jai Shri Radhe took her around. She still, loves Jai Shri Radhe. She said, I never saw someone so white in my life. Because she's from Siberia, and I never saw someone so white in my life. Even though she's also Caucasian, but it's, you get a little tan here. You don't get that tan in Siberia. And also maybe a drop of indigenous blood along the way, because usually the men came first. So so finding the place. We all want to find our place to suit our desires. We find a place. What's the place that suits my objective? So spiritually, it's like that. What's the place that suits my objective? Of course, grihastas, the first 2 things are economic and social. And economic is before social. So first it's economic, so you may have to sacrifice the social, but economic and social. Family, supporting. And I'm not sure. So he goes and he sees there, and there's always these beautiful descriptions of God and his devotees. These are the two ways you hear about. You hear about the beauty of God, you want to put him in the center. You hear about the beauty of the devotees, you want to step out of the center. And these are the two spiritual directions. Put God in the center, get yourself out of the center, and like it, which is so antithetical to the material consciousness. So he sees, form, all the conch shell, the disc, the lotus, the club, and it's so attractive, and complexion was like bluish, and words like a dark cloud. And he said, words can't describe the youthful beauty, the yellow silk, ornaments with gold, garlanded with forests. They increased his beauty, his face, sweet nectarian lotus eyes. It's like the full moon. He's just blown away. And then so many people serving, worshiping, rare items. And God stood on an excellent throne, and from a distance, this Gopakumar was watching the dancing and entertainment and the Devi, whatever they do there, and every paraphernalia is very impressive. Sometimes if you get a chance, you see Dhanurdhara Swami's deities, and the gold and the coins and the things and it's love. It's also love. It's also love. And he said, this is it. It was blissful. Said, this is it. Today I thought I've seen what I wanted to see. It reminds me of Vrajagopi. Somehow, long story, someone referred it to me. She lived in Los Angeles, middle class, middle age, maybe in her 50s, Jewish housewife. I mean, although she was a ballet dancer, she had some Pilates studio and things like that. And she comes, and she stays with me for 2 weeks. And then the last day she goes, because, I can't believe it. This is it. From being, from Hare Krishnas in the airport, then to find out that these guys in their bed sheets with shaved heads, that this is it. She said, this is it. And how she found the devotees is very interesting too. Is she was going on Yom Kippur to find a seat in the temple, but there was no seats in the temple. And you're in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, all these places. It cost a lot of money. So she went back. Okay, we'll go back. She rides down Wasika Avenue, because she lived in Culver City, and she saw Radha Krishna temples. Hey, he told her husband, hey, there's a temple here we can go to. So Yom Kippur, she went to the temple, or maybe Rosh Hashanah, she went to the temple, and it was Janmashtami. So she went on the top thing, and she saw everybody dancing, and she loved it. And then she went to India and met me after contacting someone. And then when she came back, every day, Mangal Artik, then go to work, and after work, come and do seva. It took them 6 months before they introduced themselves to her. And God forbid she danced on the wrong side of the aisle, on the men's side. Sometimes we create obstacles to test sincerity. Finally, someone introduced herself. Then after a while, they just saw her coming and coming and coming. Who is this person? Who does that? Who goes to Mangal Artik, the full morning program, then goes to work, and then comes back in the afternoon to do service? So he said, well, this is it. This is it. Now my life is success. I'll never leave this place. And he began to live there happily. And he would eat the food, he would witness the festivals, he'd hear the glories, but he kept his mantra. You see, they have that faith. He kept the Gopal mantra that he got from his guru. So he kept that. So again, this is the mantra without understanding, bringing him someplace that's nourishing him, but not to the fullest degree, which the mantra will reveal. And he said, and he told the Brahmin, he's telling the story to the Brahmin from Mathura, I'll never forget the beauty. But he said, yet in his heart, he never forget Braja and the joy of playing there as a cowherd boy. That Madhurya. Now he has all the opulence, but that Madhurya, the cows and the birds and the flowers and the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta rotis. The Pizza King, I told you about him. He went to Braj. Leela took him around. It wasn't easy to take him around by any means. But they took him to those Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta rotis. He took him to the Pizza King liked those Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta rotis. Forget Braj. Even saying this, oh my God, Braj. I think Braj, I always have to get in a visa. You never know if you can get back. What if I don't get back? There's always that apprehension. Will Krishna let me back? Does he have some other mission for me? Missing Braj. The sweetness, even with the little external chaos. And by the way, thank everybody too. I had that idea. I told you, I started last year that Yoga Maya Fund to help people. And we were able to take several people to the Dham and help people in other ways. And for this year, actually by Yudhisthira, he comes on these things, his mercy. He's actually provides the funds every year. So I thought this lady, Murti, like sincere, so sincere. So I thought we'd do the fund, and I said, okay, I kicked it off with basically $1,000 from that Yoga Maya fund, just debit it against next year and say, why don't we collect the rest, then I can help others. And we're almost at our goal. We're almost 96%. So many generous people helping. This very sweet lady be accompanied by her daughter and see the Vrindavan. That's so wonderful. And then but anyway, he stayed there for some days, and he still developed an eagerness to engage in this method of worship because it's bhakti. And but the king of the country was sonless, and he noted his good character because even he was a village boy, but Braja bhakti in his heart, and the king developed an affection for him, and then he adopted him as his son. And then the king died. And then Gop Kumar became the king. Rubies, diamonds, rings, and pearls. And after inheriting the kingdom, he arranged for him more elaborate worship. And saintly people were fed and remnants of the food of his worship. And he says, I was unattached because I was a cowherd boy and I had this Madhurya sense. And I continued living, as I was before, a little bit, but I quietly chanted my mantra and ate only I only ate prasad. That's it. I only ate prasad. So he was quite, he was quiet. He only ate prasad. And again, the power of mantra protected him from being corrupted by royal power. And therefore, because he had that taste, he wasn't attracted to sovereignty and wealth and power, because it's much more, the sweetness is much, just like a relationship. If you have a relationship with someone who's very sweet and intimate, the environment is less importance. And you see in Krishna book, it's actually opulent, but when you read Krishna book, you don't feel it's opulent there, because Krishna's Madhurya is so beautiful. It just overshowers the opulence. And anyway, very simple life. So look, Taseva heto priyate kovido talabyate yad brahmatamu. You know, someone's intelligent. Taseva heto priyate kovido, kavi, possessed with coviness, intelligence. They go for what real has meaning. They don't get distracted by this opulence. It's very alluring, but it's nothing compared to the sweetness of relationship and love. And being here in Colombia, I once wrote an article, The Happiest People in the World, because you look at the lady who's the cook and the cleaning lady and the gardener, and they're so much more peaceful than even the wealthy people here that come, who have, oh my God, you know, they have so, you know, now they're pious, but there's an impiety, because now their children are educated in this place and that place, and somehow or other, also I've noticed that the present culture is, when people have so much opportunity for so many things, then they somehow denigrate motherhood. Little call out there to the housewives of Jersey. You know, it's not as important. Somehow career becomes important, you know, and so that kind of, you know, that simple thing of like a family and home cooked meals and children and these kind of things, that's all people who don't have that opulence have. But in one sense, they wind up with more, less complicated. Poverty ruins all good qualities. It's just a variegation of what's simple and etc. But you can just see what that community, you know, is so important too. Community.
So if he's outside, I'm just gonna tell her to come in. Huh?
Yeah, come in. Tell her to come in. We're almost finished. If she wants, she can. Yes. So this is a really interesting point. I think we'll get into it a little bit more. So and therefore he was unattached. He divided the affairs of his kingdom and handed them over to relatives and entourage, deceased king. Well, generally what happens, you know, you're the king, and then, you know, there's all this politics, but he's detached. But he still suffered. Even with all that power, even he gave it up, he all suffered. And you know what he suffered from? He was under the emperor, had to obey his commands, and it stifled his freedom in ways that were against his heart, and he couldn't tolerate it. There's actually some point here in the purport. And this we're going to have to get into the next time, but what happened is they started to have all these kind of niyama agraha, like rules, like smarta rules about, you know, only can get prasadam if this person touches this, and what was it? If the remnants were touched by outside or carried by someone outside the temple or then no respectable people would eat the prasadam. And like, he's going, what are you talking about? It's prasadam. It's prasadam. So he was getting disturbed. it was getting disturbed. That these external cultural rules that have no relevance and are covering up his bhakti. The Brahmins cited the tradition of cultured behavior to support their scruples. Their predecessors never accept prasadam that in these ways have been contaminated. But real Brahmins and Vaishnavas, they're not happy with this. They can't live in a place where the Lord's prasadam is disrespected. We're going to cover this thing more, but it says, one who is cut at a major juncture of the subtle channels cutting prana feels excruciating pain. But the pain of having to watch and tolerate aparad in the service of Lord Vishnu is more painful for Gopa than such a wound. He lost his enthusiasm. He lost his enthusiasm. So bhakti is based on enthusiasm. So we have to, be very careful not to create a society of contention and pettiness and inconsideration and offense, because it will hurt cultured people. It'll hurt cultured people. Yeah, like I'm thinking now too, is the most important thing. The Hare Krishna was becoming Vaishnavas. That's the most important thing. Transcending pettiness, not enhancing drama in our life. He did this to me, this did this to me, and he did this to me. So many pettinesses that just absorb our consciousness. I remember when I went to that ashram in Barsana, Vinod Bihar's ashram, they told me it's like Jaiva Dharma. And I went to the ashram, and I'm sitting there outside, and the Vaishnavas are falling over each other to serve each other. And like everyone is falling over. That's Vaishnavism. Community so attractive. Okay, I'm actually going to head to the airport, but I like to keep steady here. Reward the people who so steady here. Munajaya, just one point before you go. Something you
Hi,
like?
Raj. Thank you for class. Yeah, I really love this idea of that purity reveals faults. If you're not pure, you don't see the fault. And that was such a great way of saying purity
Yeah.
reveals faults.
Okay. You always give a different background, a different drop. Now there's a tall skyscraper in the back there. Is that the
Yeah,
beautiful?
today
Where are you today?
I'm on 24th Street and 6th Avenue. I have an appointment, so I got here early enough so I can sit in
Okay,
a Starbucks and
I
listen to
can
class
see.
before I
I
have
can.
to go.
I'm so glad I'm in Cali and not on 24th Street and 6th Avenue. It's like,
In 6th Avenue.
yeah, I was giving class here every day, an hour and a half morning, hour and a half evening. It was so much fun, and and the kind of people, my God, yeah. Okay, now I will head to Bogota, and then on Saturday go back to New Jersey. Jersey. Why are people in New Jersey so depressed? Because the light at the end of the tunnel is New York. I've changed. I've shifted. I've shifted now. My conceptions. Wow. Now the hearts are coming. They're appreciating that. Yeah, because I'm looking. I'm looking here. Jersey, 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 Staten Island, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. Where are the New Yorkers? They're depressed. Okay, good. I get some thumbs up there. Okay, now I'm traveling and I can be in the middle of a cyclone and be calm. But once I travel, my hands start looking for my forgetful passport, my tickets. Okay, Haribo. Vanchu kalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo.